So what's up, y'all? Coming back with a new video. I'm planning to make my own art book, so I wanted to do a video talking about my favorite art books, and these are just some of them. I have so many, I can't really fit them all into one video, just too many of them. But you know, I'll try to take and go through some of these books with you so you can see some of the stuff that inspires me and keeps me going if I get stuck. So yeah, the value of art books is incredible. Just to inspire someone, get someone to read that's different than a comic or a novel. If you can, pick up some art books, dive in, get yourself off the screen and check out some work by other artists. Okay, so this is the first book that I'm gonna talk about. I got this book when I was about 10 years old. My mom gave this book to me, Spraycan art by Henry Chalfant and James Prigoff, rest in peace. And this book is one of the first art books to have graffiti art in it, and it just blew my mind as a kid. I'm sure so many other kids got this and were juiced about it, just seeing all the different cities, all the different styles of letters, some history of graffiti, some legends like this cat here is seeing. And it had a section for the Bay Area at the time. So here's Crayon, here's Fresh, San Francisco, Oakland. And yeah, man, I just loved this book. It even had some international, because this graffiti was happening all over the world. Started in the East Coast, but moved on to the rest of the world. I just love this art book. This piece actually here done by Mo2 and his crew. His work is on the cover. It's just one of my first favorite art books. And just to show you, there were other books like this. Like, this is a magazine called One Track Mind, produced from the Bay Area with a lot of Bay Area graph. But just, you know, another example of an art book that was really inspiring, with artists from the South, to San Francisco, from the East Bay. Had a tribute to Dream in here. And it had, beyond just having like the bulk of it, incredible pictures, sometimes there would be interviews in here as well. So like, here's an interview with Spy. I used this as you know, some background when I was doing some artwork about the brother. So yeah, these are some great books to look at. This book is by the twins from Brazil, and I can't remember if this was specifically for one exhibit. I think it was, but it shows a lot of their sketches, their ideas, some of the finished pieces from this show that they did. This is actually my wife's book, but I love this because you just get to see, like, it goes there. They started off as graph writers and b-boys, but they did, you know, incredible murals, huge walls, and it's really dope just to see some of their processing here, like some of their work around the city, but then just documenting this show and some of the other things that they do. It's a really dope book to look at. You see their piece all the way at the top of this building. But yeah, the twins, Gemeos, really dope book. Highly recommend getting books from writers, muralists, exhibiting artists if you can. Sometimes you can get them at a museum, sometimes just at their show. But it's a good one. This is another really great book by Deborah Willis, who I actually got to meet in Brooklyn. Really incredible sister. She made this book that just documents Black photographers. Her son is also a great artist as well. This book, Reflections in Black, is just, there's a lot of writing in it and history about Black photographers and the Black image. And in here, you just get to see from like the beginnings of photography being invented up until, you know, the civil rights movement, the 30s and the 40s, like just all kinds of really great photos of Black folks being happy, celebrating their lives, rough times, political times, sports, so many different things. Artists in here. I really recommend looking at this book, you know, whether you appreciate photography or not. All the different photographers, she really just cataloged so many different people. I mean, here's some sisters from the Million Man March, so it spans, and this is not her only book. She has other books but this is the one that my wife had, and I pick it up from time to time just to get some inspiration. Here you see Lauryn Hill and Erykah Badu. It's just photography books in general are a great place to read, to see, and to get inspired. Here's Carrie Mae Weems. Incredible book. And then there's a list of all the artists, so you can go look up even more books. But Deborah Willis, this is an incredible book. This book is by an LA artist by the name of Chaz Bojorquez. He is one of the originators of Cholo style writing in LA. And ever since I saw this dude in the documentary about Graffiti Verite, I just loved his style. Incredible artist. I actually picked this up at, what is it called? Mi Vida in LA. And in this book, you get to see some of his artwork that he's done for shows recently. You get to read a little bit about his life and, you know, how he studied Chinese calligraphy and how he came up with his style. This dude was writing when they were just doing paintbrushes on the wall. But this is a really incredible book. Just looking at his early studies, his early sketches, his early artwork, some of the stuff he did in his younger career, and just how it evolved to these other types of pieces. All his influences from Asia, from Mexican history, from rock and roll, pinstriping, from the Chicano Moratorium and the Civil Rights Movement. Like, there's just so much incredible history in his strokes and his lines and his work. And you get to see some pieces that he did in shows. I really recommend checking out art books from, you know, different types of artists. Chaz is one of those dudes. He's just incredibly inspiring. So yeah, check out Chaz Bojorquez. So here's one by some friends, Doug Cunningham and Jason Noto. They comprise a company called Morning Breath, and I got this from them in New York when I was interning for them. And it's just an incredible gallery. You get to read a little bit about them, how they got started, see some photographs of their studio, or what was their studio in Brooklyn. And then you get to see some of the artwork they did for shows, and they've done shows in the Bay Area, in New York, all over the place. In here you just get to see a bunch of different pieces, catalogs of their work, them working, some ideas, some finished pieces, some of the design work that they do. It's small, it's, you know, it's a really pretty small book, like you could fit it in your pocket almost, but it's an incredible book of artwork. It's been out for a long time, but this studio, 5024 SF, they produced a bunch of books like these. So if you can find this studio, Upper Playground, you can get a bunch of different artist books like these. These are really great. They range from designers to muralists to graph writers, a bunch of different styles. So here's another one that I really love, Frank 151. Some people might not consider this an art book, but I do. They had a gang of books that they came out with that were small like this. Like if you put my hands next to it, it's pretty small. And this one is specifically about De La Soul. And, you know, they did a bunch of these books. And in here you get, you know, some flashes back, you know, some history about the group. They show like old contracts, interviews. There's a lot of advertising for shows at the time. I think this was like the late 2000s. So 2009, 2010. And you get some background about some of their crew, the people who were in De La Soul and like Prince Paul and who influenced them. They curated a whole bunch of people and interviews and photographs in here. And it's, for someone who's a fan of De La Soul or, you know, some of the other subjects they've done, this style of book is just incredible. It's small, it's compact, you know, they have advertisements, but it's Frank 151. You can see some of the books they did here. They really nailed it when it comes to doing these little books. You can still find some of them on eBay or online, but I really recommend checking out Frank 151 books because these are incredible. So I'm a big fan of storytelling in all its forms, especially animation, and I love this film, Into the Spiderverse, where you get to see an Afro-Latino Spider-Man, Miles Morales. and the art book is just incredible to check out if you're a fan of animation or film, or you just want to share with some young kids to get them reading or seeing something that's off the screen. In here you get to see character designs from the film. You get to see a lot of the development work that went into making it. There's so many talented people that go into making an animated film pop. And in here you just get to see, like, how did they come up with this style, how he looks, who are the other characters, you know, what do they look like, how do they emote or act on screen, what's the style of dress that they wear. Just incredible paintings and development artwork. You get to see some storyboards, you know, how they develop the story, some like color keys to see like the feel of it, and then they kind of break down some of, you know, who got on the project, who thought of this, who thought of that. And it's just really a wealth of inspiration when you're trying to get it going and you get stuck. So I highly recommend checking this book out, Into the Spiderverse, so you just get to see some incredible artwork, incredible concepts. Yep, Into the Spiderverse, Marvel, Sony. So this is one by a smaller independent animation studio called Tonko House in the Bay Area, in the East Bay. And they did this story called The Dam Keeper when they first left Pixar and all that. And they made this art book about it. It's really dope how it's designed. It has this fold over. You get to see, you know, some of this part here. And I love seeing the thought process behind making this. You get to see a whole lot of concept paintings, some background about the story, a lot of concept artwork, you know, for how it would be painted. It's one of the only films I've seen that's done like this, where it's done 3D, like it has that movement to it, but it's painterly. It feels like, you know, like an artist painted it. Dice and Robert Kondo are just incredible artists. Eric O, all them at that studio. So it's really dope to see some of the moods they created for this film. If you haven't seen it, go check it out and cop this book. But you see some about here, some of the team, they have pictures of them working. It's just a really incredible book to see, you know, the sculptures, the drawings, the paintings. And this is from a smaller studio. It's not a big studio. This is an independent company that made their own book. They didn't go about asking someone else to do it. They did it themselves. And so it's really dope to see some of the work that they've done. So this is The Dam Keeper, and this is by Tonko House. So this book is by Doug Chiang. Doug Chiang is a concept artist who worked a lot on the development of the Star Wars prequels. He runs, I think it's Industrial Light and Magic, or at least the creative side of it now. Incredible artist. You know, he's been working since like the 80s, I think, and he still works. He works on, you know, Mandalorian and all that stuff. But this book, Robota, is kind of like a novel and concept art book mixed together. So you have little descriptions, you have chapters, prose. There's a bunch of reading in here where you can just really get into this story, and then these incredible paintings to match the story. It's like one long ride and journey, and I won't tell you about the idea of the story, but it's a really incredible book of, you know, both creative writing and paintings. Lots of different paintings with robots and scenes and characters and creatures and technology. It's a really incredible story. Doug Chiang's an incredible artist, and the dude who wrote it with him, I think it's Orson Scott Card. He's a great writer as well. But this is a dope one to check out, Robota by Doug Chiang, published by Chronicle Books. This is a book by Josh McPhee, who does Just Seeds. It's called Celebrate People's History. I actually got a chance to have a piece in here, and this is a book that compiles kind of like Howard Zinn's People History. It is a bunch of political artwork about social justice, ethnic studies, union organizing, socialism, communism. There's an incredible amount of history in this book that you wouldn't get to see normally in a history class unless you're in a college class that you choose to take. So there's stuff in here about labor, racial justice, feminism, environmentalism. Just incredible work. Here's one about Major Taylor and Diggs, different strikes, unions and stuff. This is really great as like a precursor to, taking a college course about some of these things, because you really can just get a little snippet. Each one of these are posters created by other artists over time that he compiled into a book. And they give you little snippets about who these people are, who specific places are, really important historic events in our past. And I love this book. There's a piece in there about Octavia Butler. So many different things. There's so many homies in this book. I wanted to show my piece. This is the one I did about the Contract Buyers League. This is a group of organizers in Chicago who were fighting against real estate exploitation, specifically the racism that was occurring in Chicago, where they took people's money, just millions of dollars, through some racist practices. And that's the piece that I did. Look it up, Contract Buyers League. This one by my boy Mincho Vega Ben Rojas from my crew, Trust or Struggle. And there's just tons of homies in here. This one's by Swoon. There's tons of really incredible movement artists in here. So check this one out. Celebrate a people's history. This is starting to get into some of the individual artist books, and this is one by my friend Indi Chanani. She's a cartoonist. She did Pashmina and a bunch of other picture books and comics. She's an incredible artist, really nice person. And this is her art book. And so she's done, it says volume 3, she's done quite a few of these where she takes and she compiles the artwork that she does over the years into this art book. And they're just beautiful paintings. She has like such an incredible handle on color and emotion. And you have these just array of really incredible pieces in here. If you follow her on social media, you get to see some of these, the majority of these that she posts, and this is compiling them all. But there's a few in here that you wouldn't see unless you get the book. She does a lot of artwork of the places she travels to and couples and a lot of imaginary things. She also does a lot of artwork around social justice as well. Yeah, Indi Chanani, if you get a chance, check her out. She's done some incredible work. This one is done by Helen Jo. She's a Korean-American artist. I think she's from the Bay, but works in LA. She works in animation and comics. But I think this is a regular series, Frontier, by another company. And this is all her stuff in here. This is a really thin book, but I really love her style, how she does her thing. And in here, there's just like a bunch of paintings of girls, some badass ladies who are, skaters, artists, fighters. She has like a bunch of different styles in here. The majority of these, I think, are all watercolor, maybe some acrylic, but yeah, Helen Jo is a dope artist. Check her stuff out on the Frontier. This one is by Helen Mingyu Chen. She's an incredible artist working in animation. She does a lot of background paintings and concept art. She also works in comics, but this is one of her many sketchbooks where she just compiles some of her work. And she's incredible. She's really incredible energy and line work, just precision. She does these film studies where she paints a frame from a film. I just love them, seeing how she does the characters. A lot of really strong representation of women too. You see this Marvel here, Captain Marvel. Super talented. You get to see her do some stuff from games and films that you recognize, like Batman or Overwatch, but some other things in here too. just a really credible painter and character designer, and I mean backgrounds for sure, but she does so many things. I look at this often when I'm struggling. She's a really great artist. Yeah, check out her stuff. Helen Mingyu Chen. She's Korean. I'm probably saying that hella wrong, but that's her name. Spam 4, that's the name of this book. This book right here is by Randolph. He's a black comic artist, and this another artist book where you just get to see a lot of this as drawings of fine women. You just get to see them doing studies. A lot of making comics or film or animation, like you gotta practice a lot, and here you just get to see him do his thing. Some of these are pinup style, some of them are more concept and comic style, but this is a really incredibly talented artist. Can't show it all to you because there's some R-rated stuff in there, but this is an old sketchbook by Kari, so this is really dope. It's called The Black Book, Kari Randolph. All right, this one is by Jake Wyatt. Jake Wyatt is a comics artist. He works in animation and does a lot of his own stuff. But this is an artist sketchbook, so you get to see a good mixture of things in here, like little doodles, character stuff in color and in black and white. This is like a whole storyboard sequence in here that he did. And then you get to see a bunch of concepts that he drew. See if I can flip to color one. He does a comic called Necropolis that's really dope. Here you get to see some of his color work. There goes the comic right there. He's a really dope artist. Love his style. Jake Wyatt. He had this whole series of X-Men where he was painting these in color. You get to see some studies from him, traveling, comics, all types of stuff. Yeah, this is Jake Wyatt version 2. Doesn't say his name on there, but that's Jake Wyatt. And lastly, this is one by my homie Miguel Hernandez. This cat I met out in Ohio when I went to the Soul Con, Comic Con they put out there for black and brown artists. And he does this comic called Jisei, and him and his sister, they have this studio together, and this is just a mixture of, you know, concepts for this comic that he made. This cat's really dope with the pen. You get to see a lot of action shots, a lot of really great storytelling from different angles. You see some study and concepts while he was coming up with this comic. Really worth checking out this brother's work. You see some of he's like figuring out the way the comic's gonna flow. But yeah, this is the art of Jisei.